Hello students. Hello students. Today we are going to discuss very important session, and that is very interesting, very important. That is error identification or sentence improvement and spotting error. The main point is there. Okay, so let's start students without wasting time. Spotting errors, that is our today's, you can say, main topic. So students, what is this type of question exactly? Because this is very important, as you can say, ordering of the words. Yesterday we studied about ordering of the words, the types, and what are the tips and tricks for solving such type of questions. Now today we are going for this session. So what is this exactly? Generally, the highlighted part of the sentence have to be corrected by choosing the most correct given option. Generally, that is the, you can say, in general idea of sentence correction. So this sentence correction section includes various types of questions. These questions are designed to test ability to identify written English that is grammatically correct or not. Okay, so your grammatical ability is checked here, and definitely along with grammatical ability your vocabulary is also checked. So in general you must have got the idea, students, in our these different sessions, that basic English grammar must be perfect and your vocabulary must be strong. If you have these two weapons, then definitely this aptitude test of English written is very simple for you. And through this test, they also test your ability to understand the essential message given or conveyed in that sentence. Just reading means decoding alphabets, understand the meaning, that is important, but what message do you get? Okay, do you really understand the context of the given sentence, of the given situation? That is also checked, and that's why it's a very important, students. And therefore understanding the essential and discarding or eliminating the unimportant or non-essential part is the key point to be focused while attending these type of questions. Students, when we analyze placement papers, we find that there are different patterns employed to test these questions on sentence correction. So we'll study all those things today in detail possibly. Okay, so if you have any doubt, any question regarding this, please mention in the chat box. Okay students, so let's start. Let's go for general idea of, you can say, sentence corrections. So what are the kind of, you can say, sentence correction? It depends on these points: subject verb agreement. In yesterday's session we studied in detail what is meaning of subject and verb agreement, as well as parallel structure error, either or, neither or, like that. Then modifiers, they are also very important. Then pronoun, articles, that's a very important part, vocabulary and idioms. So these are general, you can say, points for this type of questions, kind of sentence corrections. So just to see, if we go through some questions, then definitely you will be able to understand the type of the sentence and how in these types, these, you can say, question types have been asked. So let's go for that. Before that, let's get idea of, you can say, general patterns, different patterns for question. So generally that's a choosing the, you can say, grammatically, choosing the grammatically correct sentence. In this type of question, 4 sentences will be given and you will be asked to choose the grammatically correct sentence. So there will be no underlined part, so you have to observe the entire sentence for its accuracy and grammar. Second would be choosing the best answer, the best alternative. This is a different type of question in which you will have a part of the sentence is highlighted or underlined will see this type of questions also, and you will have to choose the best alternative, best option from the given 4 options. Okay, or if there is no any kind of error, then you can mention that also. The next pattern is identifying the incorrect sentence or sentences. In this type of questions, 4 sentences will be given, usually connected to one another. You have to identify the incorrect sentences, and out of 4 given sentences, you have to choose the right option. Okay, students? And next one, that would be inappropriate usage. So what has been used, which grammatical part has been used inappropriately, you will have to identify. So this is, you can say, general idea of solving this type of questions. Okay, now let's go for some questions, and while solving questions, I would give you some tricks and tips or shortcuts or how to solve this type of questions. So let's go for students first question, that is select the underlined word or phrase that needs to be changed. Now if you see, one sentence has been divided into 4 parts, part A, part B, part C and part D, and in every part one word or a phrase has been underlined. So you have to read the sentence carefully and identify where is the error, and you have to identify that erroneous part and means where there is need of change. Okay, so some sentences contain no error at all. In our coming sentences, you will find some examples where there will be no any kind of error. Then in that situation, you can select no error. So let's go for this question. This is very interesting question, students. So the given sentence, the given question is part A, allowed the students to part B, to continue their protest. Part C, the police stood watch. Part D, without making a move. So that is the complete sentence, and we have to identify where is the error. Okay, so students, part A, allowed the students. So here verb allowed has been underlined. In second part, to continue their protest. Now who is doing this process of allowing? That is by police. So to continue their protest, so to continue is another verb. The police stood watch. Now you can easily identify that this sentence is in simple past tense. And part D, without making a move. So students, here there is error in part A. Instead of allowed, we should use allowing. Instead of past participle of verb allow, we should use ing form of verb allow, that's allowing. So allowing the students, that should be the right part. Instead of allowed, we should use allowing the students to continue their protest. The police stood watch without making a move. Means police, they first action, what happened? They allowed to the students. Okay, so that's why here we should take the right verb form, that is allowing, ing form of the verb allow. Okay, so our correct sentence would be like this: allowing the students to continue their protest, the police stood watch without making a move. So this is the, you can say, right answer. And why is it so? This underlined portion of the sentence is a, you can say, like conditional phrase, and that is explaining the condition under which the police stood watch. As such, the verb in the phrases needs to actually be a gerund. And what does mean by gerund, students? That's the ing form of verb, or a verb describing action that functions as a noun. Therefore, allowing the students to continue their protest is the right, you can say, answer. It's a right choice. So there is error in part A. Instead of allowed, we should use allowing. I hope, students, you have understood it clearly. If you have any doubt, any question, please mention in the chat box. And basic, you can say, learning from this example, we need to understand gerund also, their usages also. Okay, students, let's go for next question. So next question is again of same type. Select the underlined word or phrase that needs to be changed to make the sentence correct. Some sentences contain no error at all. Okay, students? So here the same situation is there as like your first question. Part one sentence has been given and that has been divided into 5 parts: A, B, C, D and E. So the sentence is, no matter how diverse a menu may be, John always orders the most basic dish that he could find. Now it's a very simple question, students. So I am giving you 10 seconds. If you are able to solve this question, please solve it and mention in the chat box. Your time starts now. Sentence is, no matter how diverse a menu may be, John always orders the most basic dish that he could find. Now student, this is very simple question and this is related to helping verbs, use of helping verbs. Now if you see, who is the subject of this sentence? Of course, he is John. John always orders. That is the main part of the sentence. So John is, you can say, subject, orders is the main verb. And this sentence is in simple present tense. John always orders the most basic dish. And there is, you can say, next part of the sentence, that he could find. So students, let's see each and every part one by one and identify where is the error. Okay, so part A, no matter how. Now there is no any kind of problem, grammatical problem, because the order of the words is absolutely correct. So the means how, this word how has been underlined. There is no any kind of error. Let's go for part B. Diverse a menu may be. Okay, so use of may is absolutely correct, maybe, and order of the words is absolutely right. John always, there is no issue with these two words also. Let's go for part C. Orders the most. Now here simple present, there is simple present, and after means you can say it's a verb plus s form. Okay, that is for, you can say, third person singular. John orders, that is also absolutely correct. John always orders the most basic dish. This part is definitely correct. Let's go for part D. Basic dish that he could. Now students, there is problem in using could in this sentence, because the tense of this sentence is simple present tense, and if in half sentence you are using simple present tense, in remaining part, okay, in remaining clause, you must use here, you can say, present form of that helping verb. So instead of could, you should use here can. The sentence is written in the present tense. Okay, so instead of means could, so what could expresses? Possibility where none is needed. So we are told here, but that is John always orders basic dish. So instead of here could, we must use here, you can say can. Okay, the present tense verb can we should use here, because that matches orders. So there is error in part D. Okay students, so basic dish that he could. So instead of could, can should be here, and our sentence would be like this: no matter how diverse a menu may be, John always orders the most basic dish that he could find. And if you see part E, find, so there is no any issue with this single word. So there is error in part D. Instead of could, we should use can. Okay, so answer is clear here, students. So in this way, your grammatical ability, your knowledge of sentence construction, your vocabulary would be checked in this type of questions. Okay, I hope you have understood this question, students. Now let's go for next question. So next question here is the same type is here of question. So let me read the complete sentence first. If I was the principal, I would make the student council dedicate their time to issues that concern all students. Okay, so in part A, the underlined word is was. In part B, the underlined word is principal. In part C, council dedicate, this part is underlined. And in part D, concern all students, this part is underlined. Students, So let's identify where is the error and which word we should change. Okay, so let's start with the first part, part A. If I was. So students, reading, listening English is very important for solving this type of questions, because that knowledge will definitely give idea about such type of situations. So have you ever heard such type of sentence, students? If I was a prime minister, if I was a president, like that? Of course not. Of course not. Okay, because students, if you see here, there is a hypothetical situation. Okay, the speaker is not a principal, but he is telling in imagination, as a hypothetical situation, that if he, you can say, were, you can say, principal, like that. So here absolutely mistake is clear. Instead of was, we should use were here. Okay students, why? Because it is appropriate to use the subjunctive mood to denote that. The sentence should therefore begin, if I were, if I were. Now were being the first person subjunctive form of is, rather than if I was the principal, we need to use here if I were the principal. So students, that is very important here. It should be if I were. Suppose he is there, then there also you can say if he were. This is the important point here. And let's see remaining part of the sentences. Part B, the principal, there is no any grammatical mistake. Part C, I would make the student council dedicate. There is also no any problem, because use of would is absolutely correct. Use of make is absolutely correct. Part D, their time to issues that concern all students. This part is also right. So there is error in part A. Instead of was, we should use were, if I were. Students, I hope that you have understood this solution of this question. Let's go for next question. If you have any doubt, any problem, please mention in the chat box. Okay, let's go for next question. So question number 4 is in front of you, and it is again also of same type. Okay, so our question has been given. Let me read the first sentence completely. So Caleb was certain that if he was in charge, the student council would be able to secure his favorite band to play at, you can say, program. Okay, and let's understand the part of the sentences. Part A, Caleb was certain that if he was. Part D, in charge the. Part C, student council would be able. Part D, to secure his favorite band to play. And part E, at program. Okay, now if you see in part A, the underlined word is was. In part B, it's a charge. In part C, it's a would be able. In part D, to play. Okay, so we have to identify where is the error. Now student, if you remember the previous sentence, if I were the principal, this question is also of same category. Okay, because again there is hypothetical situation, because this Caleb is not, you can say, in charge, is not in charge the student council. So it is just imagination. It is just a hypothetical situation, and that's why after he, instead of was, we must use were. Okay, so that is the error in this part, and instead of was, were should be used. So Caleb was certain that if he were, that will be the right answer. Let's see remaining parts also. Part B, in charge the, there is no any kind of error, no need to change. Then part C, student council would be able, this is also clear part. Part D, to secure his favorite band to play, there is also any kind of error at program. Okay students, so there is error in part A. Caleb was certain that if he were in charge. Okay, that would be the right part. So in this way, your knowledge of different grammatical structures, constructions would be checked. So students, be ready for that. You can get all this information from basic grammar books. So just to go through all these ones and refresh your grammatical knowledge. Now let's go for next question. Again, there is same type, select the underlined word or phrase that needs to be changed to make the sentence correct. Some sentences contain no error at all. That is also possible. So the given sentence is, even when the chips are down, Daisy always thinks about how she could help her fellow students. Okay, I'm repeating the sentence. Even when the chips are down, Daisy always thinks about how she could help her fellow students. So students, I'm giving you 10 to 15 seconds for solving this question. Go fast and try to solve this question and mention your answer in the chat box. Be fast, students, be fast. Okay, students, let me tell you that chips down is a phrase, and it means if you are in difficulty and or in dangerous situation, okay, or especially one that makes you understand the value of people or things. That is meaning of chip down. So even when the chips, okay, are down, okay, so let me here answer. Students, so part A, even when the chips, there is no any kind of error, any problem. Part B, are down, Daisy always. Now the point to be noted that this is in present tense, this sentence is in present tense because use of are is here. Daisy always, so there is no any kind of error in part B. Part C, thinks about how. So thinks verb is here and that is in simple present tense. So this sentence we can say is in present tense. Part D, she could. Now here is the problem, student, because we are using in sentence simple present tense, okay, and in remaining part we are using past form, so that will not do. Instead of could, there we should use their present form of could, that is you can say again can. So she can would be the right answer. That is part D. So there is error in part D. And part E, help her fellow students. So there is no also any issue with part E. The order of the words is absolutely correct. Okay, so instead of modal or auxiliary verb could, we should use can here, and our final sentence would be like this: even when the chips are down, Daisy always thinks about how she could help her fellow students. So that is the right answer. Instead of could, we should use here can, part D. Let's go for next question, student. So understand first what will be the type of this question. The sentence given below have three parts indicated by A, B and C. Read each sentence to find out whether there is an error. If you find an error in any part A, B or C of a sentence, indicate your response by blackening the letter related to that part in the answer sheet provided. If a sentence has no error, indicate this by blackening the part D, which stands for no error. Okay, students, so let's go for the question first. So it's a very interesting question. So the given, you can say, sentence here is again one sentence that has been divided into three parts. Okay, so that sentence is, myself and Gopalan will take care of the function on Sunday. This is the sentence. So we have to identify where is the error. Okay, so part A, myself and Gopalan. Myself and Gopalan. So students, if you see, there is problem in using here word myself. Okay, instead of it, we should use I here in this part. So there is error in part A, will take care of the function on Sunday. If you see part B, will take care of, simple future tense is there. There is no any problem regarding, you can say, use of tense. Okay students, and last one, next one, that is the function on Sunday. If you see this, you can say order of the sentence is absolutely correct here in this part. So that's simple. Instead of myself, we should use here, that is I, that is subject, you can say I. Okay students, so in this way questions based on grammar will be asked. So this is very important part that you should refresh your basic grammatical concepts of tenses, you can say, or you can say of active passive voice. That is also important here. That is very important part here, students, because these basic things, because is means they are responsible for, you can say, proper language. So that is very important. Okay, so instead of myself, I should be here. Let's go for next question. Then there is next question. So first let's read the sentence. One of them forgot to take their bag from the school. Okay, so this is about, you can say, students, schools, mention is there, context is there. Okay, so let's go for part A, that is one of them. So there is no any kind of error. Part B, forgot to take their bag, okay, from the school. Okay, so here there is error in part B, because we are saying our sentence starts with one of them, and we are using, it's a plural like that, forgot to take their bag. It indicates, you can say, many students. So we don't need this word their here. Instead of that, we can use either his or her. So one of them forgot to take his or her bag from the school would be the right sentence. There is, you can say, error in part B. So now let's go for next sentence, students. That will be also of same type. Now next sentence is, let me read the sentence first. Avail every chance that comes your way, lest you should repent in the long run. So this sentence has been divided into three parts. Avail every chance that comes your way, that is A part. Then lest you should, that's a B part. Repent in the long run, that's a C part. So let's see where is the error, where is the grammatical error. So here part A, avail every chance that comes your way. So instead of using only avail here, you must use, because as subject of this sentence is you, we can get that information from part B, you should, lest you should. So the starting part in A, part A should be like this: avail yourself of. Avail yourself of every chance that comes your way. So in this way, students, you have to identify the errors, and here you should develop your knowledge of idioms and phrases also. That is very important. Let's go for next question, students. Each girl, let me read the sentence completely. Each girl was given a bunch of flowers which pleased her very much. Okay, so if you see the sentence, part A, each girl was. Here we are not speaking about only one specific girl. Here we are speaking about each girl. So each girl was. Part B, given a bunch of flowers. There is no also any kind of error in part B, in part A. Part C, which pleased her very much. Okay, so this action of giving a bunch of flowers pleased means each girl, means who were present there. But here in part C, this part is saying only about one specific girl, that is her. So instead of her, we should use here plural form, that's a their. Okay, so our sentence would be, correct sentence would be like this: each girl was given a bunch of flowers which pleased their, instead of their, we should use them here. Each girl was given a bunch of flowers which pleased them. I am extremely sorry for using their, it is not correct. It should be them, which pleased them very much. So that would be our right sentence. Okay, so let's go for students next question. So let me read first complete sentence. Hardly had I reached the airport where I learnt about the powerful bomb explosion. Okay, now in yesterday's session we studied about place, manner, time. So that thing is very important here. If you read this sentence carefully, okay, then you can get signal by these things. Now if you see the sentence, part A, hardly had I reached the airport. So there is no any kind of any grammatical mistake, vocabulary mistake, it's absolutely correct. Part B, where I learned about. Okay, so in first sentence the speaker is speaking about incident. Okay, when did he reach the airport? Okay, so that should be the, you can say, our reference point, and accordingly this use of where is not correct. Instead of this we should use here when. Okay, and part B should be like when I learnt about, and part C the powerful bomb explosion. Okay, when that news arrived. Okay, so here that the speaker is speaking about this. Okay, hardly had I reached the airport when I learned about the powerful bomb explosion. So this is the right sentence, students. Let's go for next part of questions. Next question is, no sooner did the sun rise when he took a hasty breakfast and resumed the journey. So part A, no sooner did the sun rise. This is in past tense. Okay, use of no sooner is there. Part B, when we took a hasty breakfast. Okay, so students, if you see, instead of when we should use here than, because that is part of, you can say, parallels. No sooner did the sun rise than we took a hasty breakfast and resumed the journey. So in this way you should know all the grammatical things, maximum grammatical things, and that will be easier for you to solving these questions. Let's go for next question, students. Next question is very simple here. So let me read the sentence first and then we'll discuss about the mistake and its parts. He is not honest, not truthful. So do we speak in this way? Do we write in this way? Of course not. So let's see where is the error and what should be used here. Okay, so this is, you can say, part of parallels. So part A, he is. There is no any kind of mistake here. Part B, not honest and not. So not, it means doesn't seem correct. Okay, so instead of this we should use neither honest and nor. We should use neither nor. Okay, and part C, truthful, there is no also any kind of error. So our sentence would be like this: he is neither honest nor truthful. That would be the correct answer. Okay, so right answer here is part B, not honest and not. Students, let's go for next question. There is question 13. So it says that it is difficult to know whether you are selected or not. This sentence has been divided into three parts. Part A, it is difficult to know. Part B, whether, and part C, you are selected or not. So in part A, it is difficult to know. There is no any kind of error. Use of is absolutely correct. The order of the words is absolutely correct. Part B, whether, so its use is also correct. There is no any kind of error in using whether here. Part C, you are selected or not. Here passive voice has been used of simple present. That is also correct. The students, in part A, B and C, there is no any kind of error. So option D is the right answer. No error. Then let's go for next question. Now this is interesting question. It's again like our previous questions. In each of the following questions, find out which part of the sentence has an error. If there is no mistake, the answer is no error. Okay, students. So let's solve this question. So let me read the complete sentence first. Since the argument about cheese curds, Paul and I are not speaking to each other more than is absolutely necessary. Okay, so student, part A says since the argument about. Now it's speaking about reasons since. So there is no any kind of error in this part since the argument about. Part B, cheese curds, Paul and I are not speaking. So students, here there is problem because with subject I we should not take are. It should be am. Many students think that Paul is one person, I is another one, so two people are there. Okay, but the right structure would be using am with I. So it should be like this: Paul and I am not speaking. Okay, so there is error in part B. Part C, to each other, there is no any kind of any problem. Part D, more than is absolutely necessary. There is also no any kind of problem. Okay, students. So our correct sentence would be like this. Since the argument about cheese curds, Paul and I am not speaking to each other more than is absolutely necessary. There is error in part B. Now let's go for next question. Now the same pattern is there, and let me read the complete sentence first. Earlier this morning, I was walking to the bus station when I suddenly was realizing that I forgot my bus pass, so I had to go home to retrieve it. Now let's see underlined parts. Let's study underlined parts. Earlier this morning, I was walking. So there is no any kind of error in this part. I was walking. This is absolutely correct part. Use of continuous past tense is there. There is no any kind of problem. Part B, to the bus station when I suddenly was realizing. So here use of suddenly is correct. Okay. Again continuous past is there. But there is problem with using verb realizing. Okay, students, because there are such verbs we don't never use in continuous, you can say in ing form and in continuous tenses especially. So instead of realizing, we should, instead of was realizing, instead of continuous past, we should use here simple past. So instead of was realizing, realized should be here. To the bus station when I suddenly realized. So there is error in part B. Let's go for part C, that I forgot. Part D, my bus pass, so I had to go home to retrieve it. There is no any problem in part D. Had to is absolutely correct. So there is error in part B, realized. So our sentence would be like this. Earlier this morning, I was walking to the bus station when I suddenly realized that I forgot my bus pass, so I had to go home to retrieve it. Okay, students, I hope you have understood the explanation. If you have any doubt, any question, do ask in the chat box. Now let's go for the next question. Now, next question here is, in each of the following questions, find out which part of the sentence has an error. If there is no mistake, the answer is no error. So let's read the sentence completely first. So it is being rainy day. We decided not to go out but to stay at home and watch a movie. So if you read it, you can feel that there is no any kind of error. Okay. Now let's see part A. It is being rainy day. Okay, students. So there is a simple problem of articles. Okay, because we should not use just a rainy day. Before this adjective rainy, we should use article a. Okay, so it should be like this. It is being a rainy day. It is being a rainy day. So that's the right part. Let's see if there is any mistake in part B. We decided not to go out. Okay. So there is no also any kind of problem here. We decided not to go out. Part C, but to stay at home and watch a movie. So here a rainy day is the right answer. It is being a rainy day. So there is only one error in part A. Now let's go for next sentence. So sentence is, the blinds deserve our sympathy. The blinds deserve our sympathy. So here part A, the blinds, part B, deserve, part C, our sympathy. So students, again there is an issue of articles here. We must understand the rules of articles. Now in part A, article the has been used. and now it is, you can say, representing the whole class of blind people. So instead of it's a plural blinds, only blind should have been used, and that's why our sentence should be like this: the blind deserve our sympathy. So there is error in part A. There is error in part A. The blind deserve our sympathy. Okay, students. So in this way, your basic study is very important. You need to refresh the syllabus of grammar, especially parts of speech, tenses, helping verbs. You can say improbable sentences, those type of sentences you must study. Direct indirect speech, that is also necessary, and passive voice, that is also most important, along with degree. So these basic things like articles you must study, and you will get proper guidelines there for solving this type of questions. And you have already solved this type of questions, students. Okay, just you need to revise it, refresh it, then definitely you will be able to solve this type of questions. Now let's go for next question. So next question is: concurrent with his program, educational institutions may be urged to inculcate patriotism in each and every one of its pupils. Concurrent with his program, educational institutions may be urged to inculcate patriotism to each and every one of its pupils. So students, you try to solve this question, try to find out the answer. Be fast. I'm repeating the sentence: concurrent with his program, educational institutions may be urged to inculcate patriotism in each and every one of its pupils. Student, be fast. It's a very interesting question. Let's see who answered first. Please mention your answer in the chat box. Okay, students. So here we need to replace its by this, as the subject is educational institutions. So we need to replace its in part D. In part A, concurrent with his program, there is no any kind of error. In part B, educational institutions may be urged, there is passive voice of, helping verb may, that is absolutely correct. Part C, to inculcate patriotism, that is also right. In part D, in each and every one of its pupils. So here instead of its, we need to use their. Okay. So in this way, students, there will be questions based on this type of, you can say, questions say about, you can say, error identification. So just let me give you some tips. First, identify tips to solve error identification questions. First, identify the concept, whether the question is based on use of article, tenses, pronouns, parallels, like that. Part 2, similar answer choices. You must be careful at that time. Treat all the options equally. Number 4, pay attention to the non-highlighted part, that is important. Then number 5, choose the shorter answer generally. Part 6, substitute the selected answer. And part 7, elimination technique. So that elimination technique is very important, but do not eliminate options with idioms or pronoun ambiguity in the first go. These pose problem only when the meaning of the sentence is altered. So these are some tips and tricks for solving this type of question, students. Best luck all of you. You need to practice. We have already discussed on which part you must focus while solving this type of questions. Best of luck all of you.